Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Checkride Chat. Again, my name is Wally,
I'm Jason.
and we are here. What is this? Episode 4, I think.
4.
3. Yeah. Episode 4. So today we're gonna. Well, first of all, thank you for all the listeners, our viewers, I should say. Thank you for all the subscribers. We're getting close to 1,000, and that's kind of a little thing that we're trying to get to. Just a little.
Thanks for the comments.
Yeah.
Some are good, some are entertaining. A handful are, well, they're not a lot, but we're going to discuss that in this episode. We're going to address 2 specifically.
Yeah.
So give us a little bit, and that'll get addressed, and we will clarify as to the whys.
Right.
I guess you could say.
Right. We sent out a couple of coffee mugs. Again, if you send us a show idea to wally@checkridechat.com or jason@checkridechat.com, and we put your show idea in the queue for a future show. We're going to send you one of our coffee mugs. I didn't bring one today, or I show it to you, but I showed it on the last episode. We've already sent out a couple. So keep those coming in, and tell your friends about us, and just keep listening and watching, I should say. So today, we're going to talk. Eventually, we are going to dive into the ACS, and we're gonna basically
We'll do a deep dive.
Yeah,
I would say section by section, or maybe just area of operation.
Yeah.
Some area operations, it's
Yeah.
quite a bit, but I would say deep dive specifically into that.
Right.
But I think we're going to skip area of operation 1,
Right.
which is pre-flight preparations. That is oral.
Right.
That's pretty much everything you're oral on any check ride. Area of operation 1 is your pre-flight. Area of operation 2 is pre-flight preparations.
Right.
That's what this episode's going to be about.
Yeah. And specifically, we're going to talk about briefings. As an examiner, when we conduct a flight test or a check ride, we are required to give 2 briefings. We're required to give a pre-test briefing and a pre-flight briefing, and we're going to dive into that a little bit down the road. But we're going to talk about the briefings that you, as the pilot, are required to give on a check ride, and really, you should do this on every flight.
I would say it's you're going to play how you practice. So if you do it on every flight, it's just going to come more natural. We're going to talk about a little bit on how to do it, or what I would like to see. We're going to parallel into some United operations.
Yeah.
On specifically when I teach at United, do this, absolutely do not do this. It's all going to come, I'm hoping, full circle in this episode. So pre-flight procedures, pre-flight preparations rather. Area of operation 2. So I think there's 4 or 5 subsections in that,
Yeah.
and we're going to talk about 3 of them. One of them is it's you, the pilot. So along with briefings, what a lot of schools do, what we do, pilots love what? What do pilots love? Well, what do we like to use to remind us of everything?
There's an acronym for that.
Yeah.
Acronyms. Acronyms. We love acronyms.
I don't know how to spell acronym because there's no acronym for acronym, but it's acronyms. We like acronyms. So first things first, on your pre-flight procedures, one of the acronyms, the very first section, it has you self-assess. That is your I'm safe. That's going through you. There is actually a major, here's some of my United briefing when I do qual events. There's a huge push, even at the legacies, at the legacy airlines, to go back to the basics.
Yeah.
It's I'm safe.
Right.
It's not just are you cough, sick.
Right.
That's illness. That's
Right.
That's the first letter. It's more than that. Right.
And what pops up on our United Airlines iPad 4 hours before our departure time?
We have to fit for duty. We have to say we're fit for duty, meaning we are fit to operate this flight.
Right.
And if we're not, we're not. We call in sick. It's fine. It is what it is. But that gives them enough time to basically get us replaced.
Right.
With another fit pilot.
Yeah, and have you ever forgotten to do that?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Only on the domestic legs, because I'm
Yeah.
used to one leg a day.
Yeah.
So when I had to go find it for the next leg, it threw me for a loop on the first one.
Yeah, maybe 20 minutes before departure, you'll get a message from your dispatcher and says, "Captain has not declared himself fit
Yeah.
for duty."
Or-
Oh, sorry about that. I am fit for duty.
Even on the pre-flight in the ACARs, it'll come back and it'll say, Captain Bolts, FFD, and it says no.
Right.
And then FO Bob, it says FFD, so fit for duty.
Yes.
So it happens to the best of us, and most likely we're lost in the pre-flight doing the walk-arounds, playing captain, fixing maintenance items, things like that.
Right.
But I'm safe. So illness, medication, stress, alcohol, fatigue, emotion, or external factors. What does all that mean? That's for you to decide.
Yeah.
Are you fit to take this flight?
Yeah. And we do that, at United. The first thing that we do on a briefing is personal. How you doing? We're about to fly a red eye. We're going to fly 6 hours across the ocean in the middle of the night, or 10 hours, whatever.
The first thing we brief at United is what's called the threat forward briefing.
Right.
It's personal, environmental, and technical. So personal is you. Environmental, that's obvious. That's how's the weather here, en route, destination.
Yeah.
Technical, what's wrong with the airplane?
Yeah.
If anything.
Or the airport. Maybe we got to
airport.
shorten runway.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So that all goes into the I'm safe. That's I'm safe leads into PAVE. I'm safe is the P in PAVE. But yeah, we play how we practice. So the fundamentals that you learn here down at the private instrument commercial level, yes, absolutely go forward and train. I can't think of the word, but they go into even down the road at the big boys when we go play.
Absolutely.
So I'm safe and PAVE. That's addressing you as a pilot and is your airplane good? Required documents, which there's your aero. Didn't have the inspections. There's your aviate. Here's all your acronyms again.
Yeah.
And then the second section, or it's maybe the third section under Area of Operation 2, it specifically addresses, and this is what we were alluding to before, it strictly addresses the passenger briefing.
Yes.
What is a passenger briefing? What should you brief? How should you brief? We're going to talk about that. We had 2 comments, and Wally's going to, it was, I think, specifically to him as a previous comment in one of the other episodes, but it was specifically related to the doors.
Yes.
Which comes full circle back to the passenger brief.
Right.
So
right.
Wally, you want to take it?
So yeah, let me jump on this. We've gotten a lot of love from you guys, a lot of comments. We've gotten a little bit of hate. And so we're going to talk about the hate mail we got, and I at first I got a little bit offended, but I thought, well, hey, if this promotes discussion about this, then this is all good. Bottom line is we want to help people not die in airplanes. We want to make pilots safer. We'll never measure that. We don't know. 10 years from now, did a video that Wally and Jason put out save a life? Maybe it did, maybe it didn't. I don't know. I hope it does. But as examiners, we mentioned this earlier, we are required to do 2 briefings. The pre-test briefing, that's where we talk about the ins and outs of the flight test, the oral. Okay, there's restrooms across the hall. If you need to take a break, we'll take a break. That sort of thing. But we're also required to do a pre-flight briefing. Okay, the oral is done. Congratulations. Let's take a break and then come back here. All right, let's brief the flight. And that's where we talk about, I'll say, okay, make sure you bring a view limiting device. I do not have one. We're going to head out this way, or we're going to head out on your cross country. We're going to brief the flight. And one thing I always add in my briefing, I say, okay, for our purposes, I have never flown in a small airplane before. I am a passenger. Treat me accordingly. Now, I've flown in big airplanes. I've flown in the back of airliners, but I have never flown in a small airplane. So treat me accordingly. And with that in mind, in one of, I think was the first episode, I talked about especially in a Piper airplane where the door is on my side, I'll leave the door open. And maybe I maybe misspoke a little bit. Maybe I should have said I'll leave the door unlatched. And there have been times on check rides where we have taken off with the door unlatched on a check ride. And I'm going to say right here, none of those people ever failed the check ride because of the door unlatched. Okay? Now, they made an error. They absolutely did. But we managed the error. And that's what we were talking about in that episode, was managing errors. Anyway, I'm just going to read. Here are the comments we got. This is the first one, and the person who wrote this is talking about me. He says, he needs to get removed from being a DPE. Number one, it's unsafe and mainly unfair to the student pilot who stops flying because they will need additional training and have to pay the DPE for another check ride. He probably unbuckles his seatbelt on the run-up. Well, asshole. Okay, that's number one. This is number two. Well, luckily, we'll luckily never have to worry about this because I've never let an asshole that intentionally leaves the door open anywhere near an aircraft that I was piloting. I thought it was funny that the common word in both of those comments
was asshole.
Asshole. So I guess I'm the asshole.
So
let me just go back to the first one.
Let's talk about it. Let's go.
I've never failed anybody for that. Okay, I have never failed anybody for that. The second one, in both these cases, the applicant is the pilot in command, and I tell them, what's going to happen if you take Grandma for an airplane ride tomorrow and Grandma leaves the door open? The point that we're trying to make is we have had people die in airplanes because doors have opened and they were not able to manage the situation. Maybe they've heard sounds that they've never heard before. Maybe papers went flying in the airplane. I don't know. But airplanes have crashed for that.
Yeah.
And, what every one of these applicants tells me when the flight is over, they say, wow, I learned a whole lot from that. Okay, and
I think that's the takeaway.
That's the takeaway. Again, we're not allowed to teach, but did we teach by not teaching? I think learning took place. We went to my wife and I went to Oshkosh this past year, and we made a fuel stop on the way up there, and we got a Piper Saratoga, and so it's the second leg from wherever we were to up to Oshkosh. And guess what? We took off. I'm in the right seat. She's in the left seat. She's flying. Guess what? Guess who didn't latch the door? Me. I wasn't trying to do it. It was I missed it.
Sometimes it also just happens.
Yes.
All of this stuff, it's mechanical.
Yes.
Mechanical with anything.
Yes.
Things that are mechanical fail.
This one was because of the asshole, me. I unlatched it, and we take off. We're about 500 feet, and I go, oh gosh, I left the door open. And so what do? We turn around, we came in and land, and her comment to me was, wow, I'm glad we did that. I've never done that. It was no big deal.
So let's talk about that for a second.
Yeah.
I'm glad we did that. I'm glad, in other words, I'm glad I was exposed to that.
Right.
What's another? I know we always pull from United. United's been there longer than me and you put together, so they have a proven record, right? So it's shared mental model. It's talking. It's briefing, right? It's getting things out in the open,
right?
Right. It's you could lateral this into hangar talk.
Yeah.
What would you do if this happened?
Yeah.
Or this happened to you. This happened to applicants. Now, that's now called experience.
Yes.
I am now specifically going to look for that so that never happens again.
Right.
So there's pros and cons to all of this. And again, the takeaway, I think nobody's failed, but everybody took something away.
Yeah.
And I would say the people that don't do it is they assumed.
Right.
And if any, I'm sure everybody's heard the joke. What happens when you assume?
I think you make an
ass out of me and you, right?
Oh,
Or you and me.
Out of you and me.
See,
S, you, me.
So that's what happens when you assume. So don't assume. So let's talk about a pre-flight briefing. So a pre-flight briefing, this is in the pre-flight procedures, area of operation 2. It is in there. A lot of people use the acronym SAFETY.
Yeah.
Right? So I'm going to talk about this. So seatbelts, this is how you use them. Quick tangent on that. What is the most, I'm not saying everybody has, most people have flown big airliners, right?
Yeah.
Flight attendants do what? Every single departure. They even say that you might be a frequent flyer, but this might be a different airplane.
Right.
Right? So here's your emergency exits. As silly as it sounds, this is how you use a seatbelt.
Yeah.
What is if in an evac, what is the leading, I guess I'm going to say injury? Do you know what it is?
I don't.
Broken fingers.
Wow.
Do you know why?
No.
Do you guys know why? Well, that's rhetorical. Say no. Why? Because they think it's a car. So they're pushing.
Okay.
Instead of unlatching. So they're pushing. And their finger breaks because they're under a panic.
Okay.
Right? It's as silly as it sounds. It's broken fingers simply trying to undo seatbelts.
Wow.
Right?
Okay.
So it's that's why they do it. But so safety, S, is seatbelts. A, air vents. This is, are you hot? Are you cold? Here's my air vents. Here's how you turn it on. Here's the heater, air conditioner if you have it, I guess. Fire extinguisher. There's a separate acronym on a fire extinguisher. Pull the pin, base of the flame. Go for there, right? Emergency exits. Here's your doors. Your emergency exits typically in small aircraft are the doors you came in and out of. This is how you open and close your door. It hands up right there. Again, don't assume that they know how to do it. Right? Traffic and talking, right? Point something out. Please, you have a set of eyes.
Yeah.
You see an airplane. Don't just say, "Ooh, look, cool, an airplane."
Yeah.
Tell me about it. Tell me if you see a bird. And then the why is any questions, your questions, right? So I'll go flight instructor from United on you. When you're giving briefings, Wally, how would you want to receive a briefing in the flight deck? You're 777.
I would like to be talked to more so than maybe being read to or lectured.
You would like to be engaged?
Engaged. Eye contact.
What
Eye
a novel
contact.
a novel concept.
Yeah.
So instead of briefing the window, we want to pull and brief our passengers.
Right.
This is how the door works. Let me show you your seatbelt.
Yeah.
Here's the exit. Let me show you this is how you open and close. Engage your passengers.
Right.
And oh my goodness, speak slowly. I know you guys have it completely 1,000% memorized, and it just comes off very, very quickly.
Yeah.
Right? I'll tell a quick tangent story on that. I had, I'm going to say younger individuals in the 757 sim, and everything was a race. It was how fast they could do the profiles and callouts. And so we go around. He didn't see the runway. And he did his go-around call-out so fast, and his colleague, I don't know if it was Captain FO, but his colleague, the guy called for positive rate gear up. And what did the guy do? He went positive rate. He just threw the gear up. And I froze the sim at that very moment. And what do you think the VSI was?
Probably not a positive rate.
Absolutely not a positive rate. But he called it, right? But are you?
Right.
Slow down,
Right.
if that makes sense, right? Slow down and engage your passengers, engage your audience. And what you will hear me on the pre-flight briefing, or actually it's more in the debrief, always try to consider your passengers. And some of the bigger flight schools, real quick, they don't allow you to fly people.
Right.
You've never done this up until maybe actually your first student, right? Or up until you get a job. You've never actually flown grandma to go have lunch, breakfast, the $100 hamburger. You've never actually done it.
Yeah.
But always try to remember you're flying, it's finesse, right? You're always keep in the back of your head, I'm flying a first-time nervous flyer. Even if they're not, that's what you need to have in the back of your head. And that goes directly into, I would say, the briefings. If you can engage your passengers knowingly, lovingly, however you want to say it, they are going to respond to that. And if they are nervous, they're actually, I would say, they're going to calm down a little bit.
Yeah.
Right. So that's long-winded response to the doors, but no, we're not out to get anybody. But as specifically, don't assume that anything. I would say that's the trust but verify.
Yeah.
You go do your pre-flight as an applicant. I'm not out to get you or trick you. I am 1,000% gonna check brakes, oil, fuel, I'm checking everything. I'm not seeing if you're gonna come behind and close it. But no offense, I don't know you,
right.
And I need that warm and fuzzy also. So that's a trust but verify.
You know, when I first became an examiner about 10 years ago, it was right during the time when we were kind of, probably 10 years ago, I would say 90% of my private applicants came with paper charts. Now it's 99% come with electronic, an EFB, but usually ForeFlight. So it has evolved over the last 10 years. But I used to get a call all the time. People would call me or email me and they'd say, hey, I got a Checkride with you next week. Do you want paper charts or can I use ForeFlight? And my comment was, or my response was always, I want you to use what you're going to use the day after your Checkride when you take your family on a cross-country flight. I want you to do what you're going to use. And we're trying to create realism in these Checkrides. That's why I tell people I've never been in a small airplane, so treat me accordingly. So this may be your first time to practice reaching over and closing the door. I've had people on Checkride say, I've never closed the door before. I've never done that. And that, shame on you CFIs for never having your students learn how to close the door. Consequently, I'll ask applicants, I said, have you ever at least discussed what you're going to do if a door does open rolling down the runway? And most of them will say, no, we never have. There's a Beechcraft Baron that was totaled at a local airport a couple years ago.
Door popped open?
They
I remember that.
Rejected the takeoff because a door popped open, and they went off the runway, and it was an old airplane, but 2 engines, 2 props, gear.
He got distracted.
Yep.
He was trying to manage.
And the airplane was totaled.
I did a multi, add-on MEI, I'm not sure. Unfortunately, the guy didn't pass. He messed. It was bad. But anyway, if they don't pass, it's typically bad. But anyway, we landed, and a 340 had crashed. We were trying to shoot the approach back into Conroe, and they put us not into holding, but they gave us delay vectors for 15, 20 minutes. And so I simply queried as to why. Like, there was an accident at Hooks. Everybody's diverting to Conroe. So long story short, we get in, we land. I give him the unfortunate news due to this. This is, it's unsatisfactory. And what was funny, it's not funny, that's a wrong way to put this. It directly paralleled to the 340, I think it was a 340, that crashed into Hooks, and asked me why it crashed into Hooks. A simple thing happened. They got distracted, and they lost control of said aircraft. Right. And it was justification of why he didn't pass, but funnily enough, he appreciated. He was like, no, that was kind of a light bulb on this isn't a game. Yeah. Right. So he, as weird as it sounds, he actually appreciated the fail, because he came back a week later or whenever I got him in, a couple days later. And he legitimately thanked me. He's like, no, thank you for not skimming over that. Now, skimming over that, I don't skim anything. You meet a standard or you don't. Right. So let's lay that down right now. But on that, so the door, did you close your door? Okay, cool. Now what happens? You're rolling down the runway or on. What do we do there? Right. So. Right. Wally, what do you do at United for a door? How does that come up?
We continue the takeoff, and we don't have doors on the flight deck of big airplanes, but we do have windows.
You have windows. We have cargo.
We have windows that are right there, and they could open because they are escape hatches. They're emergency exits for us.
That's how we get out. We have escape ropes just above the windows. Yeah.
So what is United Airlines procedure for a window coming open on the flight deck, Jason?
Would you like my RTO briefing, my rejected takeoff briefing?
Yes.
So, all right. So, with that being said, obviously our speeds are completely different than a Seminole, an Archer, a Warrior, a Duchess, things like that. But the threshold. So here's the United briefing for 757, 767. All right, Wally. Here we go. Anything below 100, I'd like you to call it out. I'm going to announce continue or reject. Anything above 100, we're going to reject for the big four, which is engine fire, any failure, predictive wind shear, or unsafe, unable to fly. If it's not one of those, I will tell you, please don't talk, because I don't want to inadvertently reject for that. And basically, if it's not those four above 100 knots, we're going, right? We are going airborne. Why? Because statistics have proven it is safer to go airborne, go fly, and simply come back around and land and fix it versus trying to troubleshoot, remedy, and fix as you're barreling down the runway. Or in a high-speed reject, you just don't want to mess that up. It's simply safer to go fly. Now, point of fact, I'll bring up RJ. The threshold at the RJs 20 whatever years ago when I was there, it was actually 80 knots.
Right.
So I think my brother, he's at another airline. I want to say they're 80 knots also. He's at a Legacy, not United. United just happens to be 100 knots.
Right.
So we'll clarify that. Anything below 100 knots, if a door pops, if we're below 100 knots, yes, that sounds fast, but no, that's not that fast.
Right.
Most likely we'll reject on the runway.
Yes.
It's when you cross into that high speed regime.
Yes.
It is simply safer to go fly. Now let's parallel this back to a Seminole, a Duchess. We have a V1 in the jets, we have a VR in the little airplanes. That is way, way slower.
Yes.
Way slower. You're actually going to be there fairly quickly.
Yeah.
Right? So you don't have a lot of time to reject. When you hit rotate, unless you're on a 7, 8, 9, 10,000 foot runway, you should actually go fly.
Yeah.
So if your door pops open in flight, is it the end of the world?
Nope.
No.
It's an inconvenience.
It could be cold, it could be loud, hell, it could be wet if it's raining.
Yeah.
Right? But again, you either A, forgot it, or B, mechanically it failed.
Yes.
It happens. Again, this goes back to your takeoff briefing, which is in area of operation 2, pre-flight procedures. There is a section you have to talk about emergencies, engine failures, non-normals on the takeoff roll. So everybody, this is your takeoff briefing. Again, this is play how you practice.
Yeah.
Right? Engage your passengers. Tell them what you're doing. Right? You're going through this mantra on a takeoff briefing for in-flight, or not in-flight, but you're going through this for just emergencies on the takeoff roll. Right? This is hangar talk also. When you're sitting around, it's bad weather, nobody's flying. What would you do if your door popped open? Start talking about things like that. What would you do if it popped open at 50 feet? Would you try to, I'll tell you right now, a Beechcraft Duchess, if that thing pops open above 35, 40 knots, it is impossible to close it. I don't care even if you're on the ground.
Yep.
It is impossible to close that door. You have to exit, come to a stop, and close the door.
Yeah.
It's as simple as that. I would say Archers, Warriors, etc., any of the Pipers, I don't know about the bottom latch. If you got the bottom latch, that's one thing. The top latch, I think that can get closed in flight. I think.
I'm not
sure. There is such a vacuum, it's pulling the door apart.
There is a flight school here that has a procedure for a door open in flight. And basically you open up the little door, the window on the left, the little storm window over there, and you slow down to a certain speed and you attempt to close the door, and we've done it and it works.
It works.
It works
So,
just
and
fine.
that's what I'm getting at. So I think whatever the pressures do inside and outside, if with that little Piper window or the door rather that's opened, there's such a pressure differential. It's extremely difficult.
Yeah.
But the point is, talk about it, brief it. I stole this from Check Pilot at United. It was actually during the standards meeting last week. Every single time, shout out to Brad because it's you. Every single time he takes the runway, he goes, "Okay, I'm ready for a reject. I'm ready for a V1 cut." And he right then and there he sets his mind up for bad.
Right.
And I was like, you know what? I'm stealing that. I'm
Yeah.
doing that every time. It's that threat forward briefing. It's a mindset.
Yeah.
Just get it out in the open, talk about it, debrief it. If
Yeah.
it did happen, why did it happen?
Right.
How are we not going to allow that maybe next time?
Right. And I would say, CFIs out there, how often are you talking about a door coming open on takeoff? I had the pleasure of teaching both my daughters for their multi-engine rating the last several years, and my son-in-law and another young man, and every briefing before we went and flew this multi-engine airplane, it was a Beechcraft, it was a Travel Air. We talked about doors opening, how we're going to handle it, and basically we said we're gonna go. And I just keep thinking of the Baron that I saw crash.
Total. So
Yeah.
keep this in your head. And when I was yes, I'm still a flight instructor. When I had students, do not do this at home, and I don't advise it, but try to, I don't know how to put this without putting me on. Try to open your door going 80 miles an hour. People freak out because it's loud. It's that startle factor. It's boom, it's loud.
Yeah.
Trust me, you're not going to fall out.
Right.
Right? If you try to open a door at 80 knots, 100 knots, it's going to get, you can open it. It's going to get loud, but you're fighting 100 miles an hour
Yeah.
of wind. You could lean into the door and nothing is going to happen.
Yeah.
I had an instructor way back in the day. He was like, "Watch this," right? And he opened the doors in the Cessna, and he actually just used it as almost sails.
Oh wow.
And he would push on it; it would make the airplane turn. And I was like, "That's freaky cool. Don't do that again."
Yeah. Yeah.
But I guess the takeaway is it a big deal? It opened. I would say it's more of an inconvenience, but it's okay. It's not going to fall off. You're not going to fall out. Your passengers aren't going to fall out. They're going to get startled.
Yeah.
But manage the distraction.
Yeah.
And manage the door, and either come to a stop if you're slow enough, or B, come back around, land.
Yeah.
And then go take off again. It is what it is.
Yeah. And to the two guys who wrote and called me an asshole, I would welcome talking to you, via telephone. I mean, here's Wally at checkridechat.com. Send me an email. Send me your phone number, or email me. I'll send you my phone number back so you can call me. I would welcome talking to you over the phone and explaining some of this more in depth. But anyway, I like to resolve conflict. Seems like there's a little conflict there, but again, it is causing dialogue to happen.
Yeah, I think it's how you look. It's perspective.
Yeah.
You might think one way, but the second you either read other comments or you discuss it with us, you might see the rationale and reasoning. Hell, you two, it might save your life one day.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, again, none of this is done on purpose, but for people that have never flown passengers, it's a pretty big reason as to, cross-check your passengers. Make sure they're doing it. If they are not listening to you in your passenger briefing, in your takeoff briefing, etc., just maybe stop. Have them listen. Have them pay attention. Right.
I'll tell a story of I was very young. I was flying with my father, and we were in upstate New York somewhere, and this was in the '60s, a long time ago. And we went to an FBO. We got fuel, and there was an elderly gentleman putting fuel in the airplane, and he fueled the airplane, and then my dad went. After a little while, went behind him and sumped the tanks. And the fueler, he looked at me and he said, "You see what your dad's doing? He's doing that because he doesn't trust me." And it was really awkward. I mean, I was 5 or 6 years old, and I thought, "Oh, this is really weird. He's just telling me that my father doesn't trust him." And he said, "And that's exactly what he should do. He should never trust me." So don't trust that person in the right seat. I don't care who it is. Reach over there and push the door.
Nobody's out to get you.
Yeah.
It's a trust but verify.
Absolutely.
It is a trust but verify.
Absolutely.
We can close, I guess, with this. On every single check ride, yeah, I'm watching you do a walk around. Awesome, good for you. I am still, you bet your bottom dollar, I am going to go and check oil and check gas and look at brake pedals and check brake fluid if I can find a reservoir or if it's accessible. I am 1,000% going to do that. That is a trust but verify.
Absolutely.
And don't take it personal. I like to go home to my wife and kids.
Yeah.
It is what it is.
Yeah. So with that in mind, we'll see you next time, and we're going to dive deep into the ACS. And we've had people ask about mock check rides. I'm not going to call it that, but we're going to talk it. We're going to dissect the ACS and what we look for during the oral portion and the flight portion. So come back, hit like and subscribe down below, and tell your friends about us. And we'll see you next time.
Have a good one.
Bye.